We're going to look at the book of John today, John chapter 10. There's a couple Johns in the Bible. There was John the Baptist, okay, who was not a Baptist. Right? A lot of people think John was Baptist. That's where we get that. John the Baptizer.
They didn't have any denominations yet.
He was the one that, what's that?
They didn't have any.
There was no denominations back there.
Over 400 denominations.
John the Baptizer, that's kind of where he got his name. And then there was John the disciple or the apostle of Christ. He's the guy who wrote this book we're going to read today. He also wrote the book of 1st, 2nd, and 3rd John, obviously. And then he was banished to an island where he got the vision of really the end times. That's the book of Revelation. So that's this John. He was one of Jesus' he had a couple sections. He had lots and lots of big followers just in the masses. And then he had 120, the Bible talks about a lot of times. And then he had the 12 close followers. And then he had 3 even real close guys. Peter, James, and John. And John was one of those guys who was really one of Jesus' closest companions and friends. And so, we can take his words as being right in that inner circle with Christ. When he writes, he really knew Christ. And the goal of the Gospels is to really just present who Jesus is, the life Jesus lived, what he did, and what he wants to do in our lives. And Jesus, I don't know about you guys, but most people relate to stories, illustrations, things like that, and that's how Jesus taught. He taught the people in illustrations. He taught them with things that they could understand, and he used examples that related to them to make a spiritual point, to present who he was. And so in chapter 10 we have this story. He's going to talk about a sheep and a shepherd and a sheepfold and things like that. Most of us aren't farmers. We might not relate to this necessarily, but chapter 10, starting in verse 1. He says, "I assure you, anyone who sneaks over the wall of a sheepfold rather than going through the gate must surely be a thief and a robber." So he's setting the picture, right? This is our sheep gate right here. I set this up purposely, okay? All right? Intentionally, just that visual helps, right? So he's saying, all right, we're going to talk about sheep today. We're going to talk about Jesus talking to people, and picture there's a sheep gate, and this is the door, right? The shepherd would be here, and he'd corral all his sheep in here. But if there was someone, middle of the night, there's someone like this, you catch him with your flashlight. I mean, what does this look like? Does this look like I'm the shepherd? You catch this. Right? They're obviously, because they would have had the key, if they were the shepherd, they would have went in through the gate. Right? But they're trying to sneak in over the fence. They're not the shepherd. And if they're trying to sneak in, obviously their intention is not good. Right? They're either going to kill the sheep, steal the sheep, hurt the sheep, whatever it is. And so Jesus is painting this picture. He says, look, I assure you, anyone who sneaks over the wall of a sheepfold rather than going through the gate must surely be a thief and a robber. For a shepherd enters through the gate. So right now he's talking about there's 2 people. Right? There's the robber and thief who goes over the wall, and there's the shepherd who goes through the gate. Okay, so there's two different people here, right? The robber and then the shepherd. One goes over the wall, one goes through the gate. Verse 3, it says, the gatekeeper opens the gate for them, for the sheep. And the sheep hear his voice and come to him. He calls his own sheep by name and leads them out. Right? We have this picture of a shepherd. Okay, and again, I'm not a pro on shepherding at all, but there's this idea that the shepherd, after a while, builds this relationship with his animals that he doesn't have to say much, and the sheep just follow him. Right? And the shepherd, a good shepherd, doesn't lead their sheep into danger. And so the sheep grow accustomed when the shepherd speaks, they know he's going to bring them safely to where they go, whether it's into the sheepfold, whether it's into pasture that it's good, not over a cliff, right? Not into a thing of thorns, not before wolves, right? The shepherd's only going to lead the sheep in the right way. And Jesus is painting this picture, right? There's a shepherd that leads the sheep, and then there's a robber who comes in, and their intention is to hurt or to harm. And he calls his own sheep by name, and he leads them out. I want to share a quick story about this. I deal with young people, most of you guys know, and we were in the city last year around Christmas time. I always take the kids into the city, and I think John knows this story. And so I got 30 kids with me, a couple volunteers. You guys know New York City's nuts, right? Especially Christmas time. Going to Times Square, I'm telling everyone to stay together, stick together, stick together, stick together. And I had one kid who's got to be that kid who's just like off on his own. And I'm like, look, you're going to get lost. You're gonna stay with the group. But he was in a mood, had his hood on, had to be that guy. He's never been in the city before, ever, right? And I'm like, I don't know how many times. I was like, stick with the group. Sure enough, we're in Times Square. We're watching one of those street dancers, whatever, So we're all kind of spread out, trying to keep them corralled. But you know how that is in the city. Finally, all right, guys, we got to go because we got to catch a train. We have to walk back to Penn. So, boom. I'm not head counting. I'm just expecting my sheep to hear my voice and to follow me. So I turn and everyone's following me. Boom. Yeah, we're going. Leaving. I don't know what we were up by. Probably up to like 40th or something like that. We were at 50th, going with Penn at 34th, going to make a Starbucks stop because some of the kids wanted to grab a coffee before we get to the station. Come out, got everybody, and someone says, "Where's so-and-so?" He's not inside? No. I'm looking around. All of a sudden I realize I'm missing a kid. Now here I am. Half an hour to the train, 45 minutes to the train. I got however many kids I have, and I have a kid missing. But when was the last time you saw him? I don't know. I saw him. He was with us when we were at the street dance. And so now I'm thinking, I'm in New York City. The kid doesn't have a cell phone. Never been in the city before. This has got to be a God thing. How am I going to find this kid? So I start praying. We prayed. I said, we got to pray. I prayed. God help us find him. I took one kid with me and said, everyone go to the train. I'll come back late, whatever. So, long story short, I'm weaving through these, and I'm thinking he's trying to find us now. It's like a needle in a haystack. I mean, you're talking about billions of people in New York City. Just praying, oh wait, Lord, just help us to see him. If I don't see him, may he see me. I get to this corner and I tell the kid who's with me, I'm like, I'm going to hop in the store because like where they were dancing was right over there. I'm like, I don't know, maybe you went in the store. So I'm like, you wait here, I'm going to go in the store. So get the picture. I'm on the corner. You know how the corner of New York City is. There's hundreds of people on the corner, right? I turn to go into the store and all of a sudden I hear my name. Mike! And there's probably hundreds of Mikes in the city. But I recognize the voice of my kid. And I said, Mike. And I turned 15 feet away. It's the kid I was. I'm like, where are you? What are you doing? And he said, see, he heard my voice. When I spoke to the other kid, I said, I'm going to go in this store right now. My sheep heard my voice. He recognized my voice. It really hit me. Like, wow, that was like this story came to life for me. Because I recognized, I heard my name. But I mean, it was a miracle. God put it all time. I mean, he could have been, if he was 30 feet away, he wouldn't have heard me. But so I share that story just to share this idea of the sheep know the shepherd, and the shepherd know the sheep. When we're a part of Jesus' fold, right? When we're a part of the family of God, we know the voice of God. And God surely knows his sheep. He surely knows who we are. And my intention as the shepherd in that illustration was to find the one who was lost, and we found him. By God's grace, we found him. And miraculously enough, we actually made it to the train as well. That was just a bonus. But anyway, I just share that as a picture of this idea. So I believe we're on verse 4. It says, after the shepherd has gathered his own flock, he walks ahead of them, and they follow him because they recognize his voice. He was pretty pretty good to stay close by me after that, on the way back. I said, you better be on my heels. And he was, because I was following him to safety. He was a little shook up, to say the least. And they won't follow a stranger. They will run from him because they don't recognize his voice. See, once, we'll get to that in a minute. In verse 6, it says, those who heard Jesus use this illustration didn't understand what he meant. So he explained it to them. Sometimes Jesus would use illustrations and people are like, huh? What? Sometimes you might hear a Bible study, or you might hear the Word of God, or someone say something and you're like, what? What does that understand? So Jesus breaks it down in a different way. And so he said, this is what it means. I assure you, I am the gate for the sheep. So he gives this whole story about sheep and shepherd and following and listening and hearing the voice, and they're like, well, what are you getting at? What are you talking about, Jesus? What does this have to do with anything? I assure you, I am the gate for the sheep, he said. All others who came before me were thieves and robbers. But the true sheep did not listen to them. What he's alluding to is that for centuries there's been false teachers. There's been false prophets. There's been people who said, come follow me, I'm God, more or less is what they said. I'll lead you to God. There's been prophets who come up. There's been whole religions started on false prophets. Right? And they lead the people astray. Right? Literally millions and millions at times, depending if it's a world religion or not. Other times it's just drinking the Kool-Aid. You guys know that? That whole big thing, right? Back in the, what was that, the 60s and 70s? What's his name? Bob?
Jonesville.
What's that?
Jonesville.
Yeah. You know, there's been, and he's saying, look, those were not the shepherds. Okay, those were the thieves. And you got to recognize, we'll hit this in a minute. But the true sheep did not listen to them. See, when you have a relationship with Christ, and you have the Holy Spirit living in you, you recognize who the thieves are. There's just a check in your spirit. When you know there's someone around you, or there's a teaching that you hear and you're like, that sounds, there's something off about that. Something doesn't sound like that. And then Jesus steps it up a notch. Verse 9, he says, yes, I am the gate. Those who come in through me will be saved. Now this is important. If you don't get anything else out of this, I want you to get this. He says, I assure you, I am the gate for the sheep, he said. All others who came before me were thieves and robbers, but the true sheep did not listen to them. Yes, I am the gate. What Jesus is saying is, he's saying, look, all other people who came before me, all other people who came after me are the thieves, they're robbers. But I am the gate. I am the only way. I am the only one who has the right to lead the sheep, because they're my sheep. They're my creation. I made you. And that Jesus always wants us to know that He is the only one. I am the way and the truth and the life. No one comes to the Father but through me, Jesus said. And some people will argue that and say, well, how does He have the right? And who is He to say that? He is the only way. And what about this one? And what about this religion? And well, you know what? He's the only one who died on a cross. Publicly. Poured out His life for us. But even at that, if He just did that, He could have just been some crazy guy. Which a lot of people thought He was just some crazy guy. But historically speaking, He rose from the grave. He was witnessed by over 500 people after His death. They witnessed His death and they witnessed His resurrection. See, we serve the only living God. The God of the Bible is the only one who's still alive. Every other figure, Muhammad and Buddha and all, they're dead. You can go see their whatever, mausoleum or their whatever it is, but Jesus is alive. He's living. And He's saying, I am that gate. Anyone else who came before or after me is the thief and the robber. But I am that gate. Verse 9, yes, I am the gate. Those who come in through me will be saved. Anyone who comes in through me, Jesus said, look, I am the gate. This is the gate right here. Tickets, please. Tickets, how do you get in? Well, I'm a really good person, so can I come in? Nope. Well, I've been in church my whole life, and nope. But, no, Jesus says, I am the gate. You can only come through me. You can't come in the back door. You can't get in heaven through the back door. Oh, well, I know so. My grandma, nope. Jesus said, I am the gate. In the Old Testament, when Moses, you probably heard the story if you ever went to Sunday school. If not, it's Moses in the burning bush. And he comes up and there's this bush on fire, right? God set this bush on fire, and a voice speaks out of the bush, and it says Moses falls on his face, and it's God speaking through Moses in the revelation of a fire, a bush on fire, and he says, "Who should I send? Send me." What? God's saying, "Go tell the people this, and that." And he says, "Who should I say sent me?" He says, "I am that I am." I am. That's all I need. That's the only description. I am. That's it. Meaning,
Everything.
I am. I exist. I always have existed. I always will exist. I am. And when Jesus, a lot of people say, well, Jesus wasn't God. And we can go through lots of areas where he said, but when Jesus uses that I am, it's not just like you say, oh, I am a carpenter. No. The people, his hearers, they know the stories of the Old Testament. They're Jewish people. They knew what he was saying. When he said, I am the gate, they were like, that's why they picked up stones to throw at him to kill him, because they would consider that blasphemy. Even it says parts of it when he said, I am, and they were like, what? This guy's claiming to be God. So if anyone ever tells you Jesus didn't claim to be God, they don't know the scriptures. Because he absolutely claimed to be God, because he was God. And he says, I am the gate. I am the way. Yes, I am the gate. Those who come in through me will be saved. Wherever they go, they will find green pastures. That's the hope that Jesus offers. He says, I am the gate. And anyone who finds me will be saved. And wherever they go, they will find green pastures. See, the intention and the purpose and the desire and the heart of God is not to destroy us, is not to ruin our fun, is not to take away all the things we want to do. But the heart of God is to bring us into green pastures. Meaning, God's not going to lead you into a brown, barren place and just leave you there. He might bring you through a brown, barren place to make you more dependent on him. But he's always going to leave. On the other side of that brown, barren place is a pasture that you can feast in. And that's his goal. That's his desire. In verse 10, it says, the thief's purpose is to steal and to kill and destroy. And we have to know that the thief represents the enemy, all right? And that enemy, the devil, appears to us in many different forms, many different ways, whether it be vices, whether it be addictions. And I just want to point this out, just as you find out here, but 5 years, AJ celebrating sobriety yesterday. Okay? The enemy, we just talked about it a minute ago. This man should have been dead multiple times. And maybe some of you guys have a similar story, right? The enemy came to seek and kill and destroy this man through an addiction. But by God's grace, he didn't succeed. But we all have different things. There's different thieves on our walls trying to come in and destroy. And we have to recognize that that's his intention. He wants to pull you out, whether it be through lust, right? Whether through be addiction, whether through be laziness, whether through ailments, whatever it is, the devil does not want us in the green pastures. He wants us to just perish slowly in the barren place to just rot away. You know, I've been multiple places, but I remember going out in South Dakota in the middle of nowhere, and you just go and you just see, I mean, it's dry. It's the Badlands, it's called. I mean, you got these big mountains of dirt and stuff like that, wild bison roaming, and we're just driving through, and there it is, just a carcass, just a bison carcass, just sitting there. Barren, who knows if it got hit, if it got shot, if it just died, if it had no water source, but there in the middle of nowhere, it just died. Because it had no life. It just led to death. And that's where the thief... But listen, this was really my heart this morning in sharing this with you. So the thief's purpose is to steal and kill, destroy. But my purpose, Jesus says, look, he's given this whole big picture of sheep and shepherds and gates and all this. But this is the bottom line. He said, my purpose is to give life in all its fullness. Other translations say to give life and life more abundant. See, we can just settle. You can settle for the life you have in sin. You can settle for that. Enjoy it. We talked a little bit about this last week. Enjoy it. Live it up. A friend came in last week, and he's a window washer. And he works all over Long Island, cleans windows for businesses and things like that. And he was showing me some pictures of a guy who's some gazillionaire guy. And he showed us his garage. And has a picture of inside the garage, and there's 12 Ferraris in this guy's car, in this guy's garage. Some of them were like $1 million Ferraris. So this guy's got over probably $6 million worth of Ferraris just in his garage. And his beat-around car was a $425,000 car. That was just to get him from place to place. And you might be like, "Oh man, that's great." And I was like, "Wow, that's nuts." But you know, that's all that guy had. Without Christ, that's all he's got. So he can live up all his wealth and enjoy life that way.
Can't take it with him.
But that's all he's got. So he might have life now, but he's got separation for eternity. You might be whatever it is. Again, whether it's women, addictions, success, money, whatever that draw is, well, live it up now. Because that's all you got. But Jesus says, I'm going to give you life now, because true life comes in peace. See, most of these people, I don't care what you're doing, again, whether you're high up on the food chain like this guy, if you want to consider that successful, or getting high, and that's your high, there's a lack, there's a barrenness, there's a lack of peace, there's a lack of hope. Why do you think the suicide rate isn't crazy? Because people are hopeless. They're trying to fill that God-shaped void. I always use the illustration of a jigsaw puzzle. You ever do a jigsaw puzzle when you were a kid, and you go to put the last piece in and you can't find it, and you're looking under the couch, and you're like, "Oh man, the puzzle's incomplete," until you put that last piece in there, right? Well, that's Christ. And so we try to fit it with all kinds of things. You know, it's just that there's only one piece that can fit in that puzzle. But we like, you know, then you get a scissor and you try to make one. It'll just never work. Right? You can't fit anything else in the place where Christ belongs. And until Christ is in that place, you will be settling for something less, which eventually leads to death, and death forever. But Jesus, He's so good. His heart is so for you and I. He says, "Man, I don't want to just give you life, man. I want to give you life and life more abundantly. I want to give you life now. I want to bring you into green pastures." Again, doesn't mean it's going to be easy all the time, because it's not. It doesn't mean you're going to be wealthy and rich and... No. You're going to have peace. You're going to have peace of mind. You're going to have hope every day you wake up. And guess what? I'm going to take care of you. Because you're now one of my sheep. And when you're my sheep, I look after, I bring you into green pastures. I'm going to look after your best interests. I'm going to provide for you a job when you do. I'm not going to leave you forsaken. That's good news. That's good news. I'm just going to read and finish up. Jesus goes on, verse 11, he says, I am the good shepherd. The good shepherd lays down his life for the sheep. A hired hand will run when he sees a wolf coming. He will leave the sheep because they aren't his, and he isn't their shepherd. And so the wolf attacks them and scatters the flock. The hired hand runs away because he is merely hired and has no real concern for the sheep. I am the good shepherd. I know my own sheep, and they know me, just as my Father knows me, and I know the Father. And I lay my life down for the sheep. I have other sheep too that are not of this sheepfold. I must bring them also, and they will listen to my voice. And there will be one flock with one shepherd. And so summed up, Jesus is calling. Basically, it's always an invitation. Will you let me be your shepherd? Because that's his heart. He wants to shepherd you. He wants to bring you into life more abundantly. He wants to bring you. He wants to help fight off the enemy on your behalf. That part about the hired hand, the first thing I think of is like, when people run in the streets, and you're running with somebody, and then someone gets caught up, and you know who your real friends are then, right? Oh, it'll take you in when you're dealing for them, right, or whatever it is. But when things go down, whoop, they scatter, and who's sitting there looking in the cop's face? Where's everybody else? Right? Because they didn't care about you. They were in it for themselves. They were the thief looking to destroy you. Right? And God's saying, look, I'm not going to leave you. When the wolf comes, I'm standing in front of you. Right? Not like, oh, yeah, you got this one on your own. Right? Jesus, I am the good shepherd. I want to be your shepherd. That's his words. That's his invitation. That's his heart. I want to give you that life and life all the full. And then how does that happen? Is you got to realize. You got to acknowledge that the enemies on your wall trying to come in. You got to realize that you're trying all kinds of different ways to get into that sheepfold. But you got to come through Christ. He's the one that laid his life down for you and for me. And I will tell you, I said it the other day too, and I always say is it really is a life more abundant. I don't have millions of dollars or tons, but I have what I need. I have peace. Yep. If I have nothing else, if a tree fell on my house last night, or whatever, it doesn't matter. If a bullet went through my head, I have peace. I have the hope of Christ. Life and life more abundant. And that's what Jesus always hands out. You want it? You want it? You want it? You want life more abundant? You want it? You see, those who go through him, it says, will be saved. Saved from what? Saved from the enemy. Saved from destruction. Saved from death. You guys pray with me. Maybe just think for a minute about Jesus' words and that invitation. He wants to be your shepherd. Is he your shepherd? If he's not your shepherd, why isn't he your shepherd? What's keeping him from being your shepherd? Pride, sin. He can handle all of it. You didn't do anything to. Some people say, oh man, everybody else, but my life, you don't know where I've been. You don't know what I've done. God knows what you've done. He's still willing to forgive you. Doesn't matter how bad you think you are. He'll wash you clean. He'll make you new. He'll be your shepherd. You'll begin to know his voice. And you can follow him into those green pastures. Just take a minute to just get right. Have a little dialogue. Ask ask yourself even, why? Why have I not made Jesus my shepherd? Why wouldn't I make Jesus my shepherd? So, Father, I thank you in Jesus' name for your goodness. I thank you that you did lay your life down for us and that you invite us to be a part of your sheepfold. God, to hear your voice and to go into green pastures, to go into life and life more abundantly. And I pray that no matter where we are, no matter where we've been, that we would realize that there is nothing that this world can give us or offer us that's going to be more than what you've given to us. And so work in our hearts, Lord. I pray you work in our pride, that you would humble us, and that we would come to the reality that we need you. And I thank you. I pray this in Jesus' name. Amen.